Alright, so I got a 2018 FE 350, fully street legal. Comparing this to the S model, I don't know about that much on the S model, but mine's, I don't know, up in Canada here, it's just FE 350, there's no S. So this is a fully street legal bike. Has lights, has the wide brake light, which you can change it out for the TE one, which will be more narrow, and then you can get rid of these, and then you can it will be flush with the end of the fender here, so your lights aren't sticking out. I don't know if it would pass DOT regulations, as I think it has to be a certain distance apart. So little mods I did for this anyways. These things are pretty restricted, stock, coming off the line here. So what I did here, usually there's an end screen in there. If you got that part number, it's got a spark arrestor in it. So I did it with the pipe off. You could probably do it with on. I wasn't too sure if there was another spark arrestor in there. There is. So it's not going to fall in and accidentally go into the engine. I mean, it could happen. It also couldn't. So what you can do is drill it and just pry it out, or get a slide hammer on there if you can get threads in there and just keep hammering it out. It's not welded or nothing. So between the 250s and 350s, another thing that goes on is the idler gear. So I got 183 hours on this thing right now. I'm in the middle of changing my oil pump idler gear. You can do research online on it and hear about people saying that it fails and all that. Don't mind the mess. So this is the old one with the part number ending in 600. Now the updated part number is 6100, and that's what I got in there right now. This one does not look bad at all. Like I could have left that one. The teeth and everything on this are like perfect. Doesn't seem warped. It kind of looks warped along the shaft here. They're like a bit oblonged. To me anyways, I haven't put it on a piece of glass or anything and tested it, but at the same time, I'm going to be changing that O-ring out and everything. I'm going to have a separate video on that with all the part numbers and everything. It'll probably be another week or two. I'll post it. And these things come lean, really lean out of factory. Some people crank the TPS up. I mean, I did when I took the end cap off till I got this tuner. Just a JD tuner. Works really good. Tuning is not that hard. It's kind of on the fly. I mounted it there. All injector. You unplug the injector, plug this in, and then it tees back into the injector and just lengthens the pulse width. There is a guy named Takamoto Co. I think he's out of Texas there. He also sells Get ECUs, which I think is a pretty good deal. Changes your whole ECU out so you can connect to it with your phone. You read codes, everything, and you can actually get him to reprogram it, so you could have a map switch or a traction control switch up here also. So you could switch between two maps and have a traction control where it sees a spike in RPM, where it usually wouldn't see a spike in RPM, and derate the engine so you get less wheel spin. I resorted for that because it was about $400 Canadian compared to about $1,000 for a new ECU, so I didn't really want to go that route. I mean, with getting the ECU, you can adjust the timing a few degrees so you can get more power out of it and all that, but with the injector tuner, you can't change the timing on it whatsoever. So just yeah. You can see the wiring there for the TPS right there, or the fuel injector. Another thing, so, and if you're doing the tuner, if you take that end screen out, I would recommend getting a tuner. I bump my TPS up. I wouldn't recommend it because it does make it run lean on top, but I was getting like it like a couple weeks later, so it's all fine. One other thing that I had a problem with So, this reed cage, this goes in the air box. Not really sure why, but mine actually, I got a pretty bad flame out, and it kind of blew up a reed, and my engine ate the reed, and at least it was carbon fiber, so it's kind of natural. It didn't do anything to the motor. I did get a piece of carbon fiber that went back into the air filter, into the screen there. I didn't gut the screen out because it's pointless to me. I don't see why you would. I mean, if you want to get the most flow out of it, sure, but I'm not dicking around with that. So yeah, take this out because it'll most likely just break. This is another air restriction. Goes right, it's right behind the air filter. You'll see it in there, and you just rip it out. There's a little rubber boot along the edge here. Rip that off with a screwdriver and pull that out. Another thing with this is if you ever notice you're getting popping on decel, it's not running lean. It's, well, it could be running lean, but on the emission system on this, I didn't mess anything to do with the emissions. All I did was, there's this air, there's a little fucking thing here. Let's see if I can get a better. It introduces fresh air into your exhaust. So on decel, it will suck air in, and that's how they get it to pass emissions. Now, lots of people just remove these, but if I get pulled over anywhere, I don't want people saying, hey, well, you don't have the emission system on it, especially if you get a cop that knows what the fuck he's talking about. So I left everything on, plus it's extra money that you have to spend on the bike when you should be spending money on suspension, tires, everything else when you buy it on road. So all I did for that was take the thing off, put silicone in the end right there. You see I got silicone in there, and yeah, filled that full of silicone. Doesn't backfire on decel anymore. Quick, easy fix. I mean, you could take all the emission stuff off. I see no point. Same thing with, there's a little charcoal canister up into the frame here. People take them off. I see no point unless you're trying to save weight. If you take it off, you're going to have hard starting and all that. You'll actually have to use the high idle down at the carb, or down at the throttle body. I've never had to do that with this bike, even when it's super cold out. I just have to adjust the tuner a bit and bump the idle up or down. Depends how cold it is and all that kind of stuff. So it's not that hard. Oh, another thing you should do that they're known for is the hydraulic tensioner for the timing chain. They started slapping around. Mine was getting pretty slappy down at low RPMs. It was at a certain RPM it would get pretty slappy. I went for a Dirt Tricks timing chain tensioner. It's a mechanical one. Works really fucking good. Be careful, on their site they say you don't want to run them when you're first breaking in for the first like 20, don't quote me on this, probably 20 hours. They said 10 hours, not too sure. Yeah, other than that, it's a pretty good bike. I like it. I haven't had a problem. Other than the suspension. The suspension's kind of lacking on the front, especially with the rebound, just because you only got one adjuster here. But not much you can do. K-Tech makes a kit, and I'm going to respring it for my weight. I'm probably going to do that myself and probably make a video on it, because the K-Tech install looks pretty easy to me. And I will have a video for how you change the idler gear out. I had to take the whole side case off, and I got a tool. I'm going to go pick up a tool for this today, so we'll see what happens. I have these bark busters that mount at the bars here. Can't get your key in and out when the key's sitting right there. So what I did was just take a little piece of aluminum, and you had to trim a bit. I just got a torch and a bit of X-Acto knife, heat the X-Acto knife up, cut the plastic, mount this thing. Works real good.